beautiful. It's beautifully colored. Brother Wood's paintings in this is sensational. I mean, look at the cover of that. That's a painting, man. I mean, Brother Wood's is just awesome. Brother Tressner's information. This is going to be my favorite book, I'm sure. Discussing symbols. He says, well, with symbols, they're fun. They really are. That's why we study it. But they're also practical. And consider what Brother Tressner says. This is on page 10 of his book. Is it of any practical use? Well, mentally playing with symbols and images is what led Albert Einstein to formulate relativity. It led Frederick Kekulé to visualize the benzene ring. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, and Wallace Carothers developed long-chain polymers. So if you find the products of physics or chemistry or telecommunications or nylon practical, if you enjoy living longer, healthier, more productively, and more comfortable, then yes, thinking about symbols has a practical value. Wow. I love how he puts that. Is that not interesting? If you enjoy freedom, democracy, equality, economic security, or the right to worship as you please, then thinking about symbols produces practical results in less tangible fields as well. I love Brother Tressner's book. If you're a Scottish Rite Mason, that's the book to get. If you join, you should be given it as a gift. I was, and I'm very blessed for that. So this idea of symbolism, sacred geometry, being put to a practical use, improving our spiritual temples, as well as giving us our orientations and lodges where we can legitimately and legally meet and do work, that's very impressive, isn't it? And finally, as a way of giving us a possible, we connect. In Freemasonry, we're all about connecting. Connecting together. It's a network. It's an interwoven network of connection between human. Finding our commonality and elevating all of humanity together. We also connect historically with modern history, medieval history, and ancient history. There are patterns in history that significantly developed, that they still affect us right now today. Understanding that gives us an intellectual, philosophical, religious, spiritual, practical, physical basis of living good lives. Even though at first it may seem like superfluous knowledge, it is not. Consider this. One of my favorite authors, Hugh Nibley, in his book Temple and Cosmos, this was published by Deseret Book and the Foundation for Ancient Research and Mormon Studies. This is volume 12 of the collected works of Hugh Nibley. It was in 1992 already. I can't believe how long ago that was. Hugh Nibley's chapter, The Circle and the Square, discusses about two recent discussions talk about the cosmic nature of the wheel, the dome-shaped shrine, or the royal balda, the baldachin, or the badakin. Paradoxically as it may seem, such a symbol of supreme stability as the throne, the temple, the holy city, and even the sacred mountain. World mountains are often depicted as revolving wheels, or even as being mounted on wheels. Isn't that fascinating? This is a strange thing. The Roman quadrata represents the four corners of the earth, and it's the center of everything. The Romans always drew it as a circle with a cross line representing the four directions, the quadrata. For the nomads, it's the cuba, a dome. The Latin word is cupola. It's a cap or a cup. Now this is interesting because when we wear our caps, what are we imitating? Isn't that fun? The clothing has a relevance, the shape of the clothing. Practical use of symbolism to keep us in mind of what's going on. It makes the profane into the holy. That's the idea. Life is a holy thing. It's not a waste of time, you see. That's the point of the 24-inch gauge symbol for us as a practical use. Measure and use your time wisely while you're here. Otherwise, we're going to all end up being 70 and 80 years old looking back and saying, son of a gun, how come I threw away so much of my life? You see, use your time wisely. Anyway, now I'm getting preachy. Anyway, it represents the dome of the heavens. The caps that we wear. The cupola. The dome. You find it everywhere as the common shape of churches. Here we go. And the square church accompanies it. The dome, like a stupa in India, is mounted over a perfect cube. To the nomads, the kubbeh, or the domed red leather tent of the chief, is the kuba. The Islamic qibla derives from a root meaning to face, or to receive, or to look toward. So that when a Muslim prays 5 times a day, what direction does he face? To Mecca, of course, the center of the world. How does he know where the center is? In his house, he has a qibla, or a marker, that tells the direction he must face, by which the tribe, when it camps, takes its bearings in space. The qibla itself is oriented with reference to the heavenly bodies. For the Asiatics as well as the Romans, the royal tent is a templum or a tabernaculum. Now this word is a very interesting word, the tabernaculum, the tabernacle. It's the Roman name for a quickly made booth, a little house of boards. Something thrown up very quickly of brush, boards, blankets, or anything you might happen to have. The Feast of Tabernacles is the Sukkot of the Hebrew, which is the Sh of the Egyptians. It's the same thing as the outer court of the Greek temple, the temenos. And this word, temenos, the Greek word, means temple, to cut, to point at which the 2 lines, the cardo and the decumanus, they intersect. There's an axis mundi, in other words. All space comes together at this absolute, theoretical, perfect point. And now we see the idea of the point within a circle in Freemasonry, don't we? You've just, aha, got expanded, didn't you? Isn't that fun how that works? Well, it is the center of everything which doesn't exist. It's like the singularity that physicists talk about today. Things that are real and conceivable, but they're simply not describable. If you've ever read Euclid the Elements, the way he tries to describe a point is utterly fascinating. It's really interesting. Well, this is a device for taking our bearings on wherever we are. That's precisely what a temple does. That's why our lodges are oriented east to west. Yes, we're orienting ourselves to the cosmos every time we attend lodge. We have to know our place, you see. This is very significant. It puts us into the picture of time and space. It's a sort of a sacred observatory, like the tabernacle or the camp of Israel. The camp of Israel. You Scottish Rite Masons, you'll know that image, won't you? Yeah, isn't that fun? There's more to our symbols than meets the eye, you see. At the same time, it's a kind of a planetarium, a model of the cosmos. Now, the central point of the tent, now this is interesting, the central pole of the tent, rather, is often identified with the pole star of the heavens. The tent itself is a Weltenmantel, the expanse